Nicole Farrell, who joins us from Trinidad and Tobago next. And she is a brand image and PR strategist. And she's going to share her thoughts on versatility, vulnerability, and the vast impact on widespread solutions. That sounds so interesting. Nicole, over to you. Nicole, the stage is yours. She may be having some internet issues, but
Are you
that's
hearing
okay.
me now?
I'm sure she's joining us right now.
Are you
Nicole.
hearing me?
Yes, Nicole. Over to
Are you
you.
hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, good. All right, good. Thank you. So I was just giving a warm greeting to all of you, my fellow speakers, and those of you who have joined. Welcome from the hot and sunny Trinidad and Tobago. Now, in the words of Oprah Winfrey, when you give to others, you give to yourself. I'll repeat that. When you give to others, you give to yourself. And when we think of values and we think of volunteerism, we are giving to others, but we're also giving to ourselves just as much as we lend of ourselves. These days, values, the word values, it may seem like a dirty word because now it seems that what was good is now bad. But values don't have to be a dirty word to us. And when it comes to values, me being a brand strategist, I talk about branding a lot, whether it's personal or organizational. When it comes to your values, it is part of your personal branding architecture. It is what people expect from you. In any given moment, in any given situation, what would Nicole do? What would Carol do? What would Milan do? What would Kaljit do? Right? It makes up that innate fiber within us. And when we think of volunteerism, we can incorporate our own values into that. So I'll share a story about when I started my business. I started my business with two arms of service, public relations and event management. Month number one came, no clients. Month number two came, no clients. Month number three came upon me, no clients. Now I had a choice then, right? Do I sacrifice my values to get opportunities out there? Or do I rely on my values, which one of them is safe, and see through it so that I get my clients? Well, guess what? I got my clients, but only after 7 months. That's what I said, 7 months. It took me to get my first major public relations client. Now, here's the thing about that whole setup. Number one, it was the realization of a 30-year-old dream that I had to work with the Miss World franchise, right? When you incorporate your values into your everyday life, you'd be surprised at the gifts that the universe can give you. So after a 30-year-long dream, out of the blue came my opportunity for my first major public relations client. I was minding my own business in my living room one evening when the then national director called me, and they wanted me to be their communications specialist and publicist for the organization. The values that I presented during my time working with them are the reasons why even now, years later, I'm still getting recommendations and I'm still getting referrals. When you operate with your value system, people can see it. And it's like a couple of speakers before talked about. People can see things from a mile away. Be your authentic self. So I want to be a team player. That's what I was. If I said I was going to show up, I would show up. If I said I was going to do something, that's what I did. If I saw a gap in something, I would say, well, listen, I saw that you all needed help in this area. Can I help in this area? Can I do this? Can I do that for you? And that's the way your whole brand perception Your whole value-based system is seen by others. And this lays foundation for them to say, well, oh, you know what? I can work with this person. I can work with him. I can work with you because I see what they give. When it comes to your values, your integrity is what you have. Your name is what you have. Your reputation is what you have. And it all links back to how you present yourself. So when it comes to showing your values, in these days, you have to be vulnerable. Because remember, as I said, having values can be a dirty word. How dare you do the right thing? Nobody's watching. You don't have to do the right thing. You can do this in the dark. Nobody would know. No. When you operate authentically and with your value-based system, this is what happens when you do the right thing. So everything is connected. Don't ever think that something is disconnected and there is no scope for you to make an impact. As we move on to volunteerism, how can you be vulnerable when it comes to volunteerism? Well, I'll share another story with you. So I have a mentoring initiative called Empire Ready, where I mentor youth and young adults when it comes to entrepreneurship, personal grooming, personal branding, business etiquette, work etiquette. And I was asked to be a drama tutor for a group of students who were on their August vacation. I was a little bit hesitant because I felt like I've worked with youth before, but this is a real one-on-one different type of thing, and I really wasn't sure how they would react to it. And I said, okay, let's do it. It was 1 hour every week doing this class with the youth. Now these are preteens, mind you, and for anyone who's worked with preteens, they can be a little bit different, whether they're moody or they're hyper or whatever the case is. But I went in with an open mind. And before I started, people said, oh, those kids are rowdy. Oh, they're problematic. Oh, they're really hard to rein in. They're really hard to deal with. I went in with an open mind. And let me tell you something. They ended up being the sweetest kids ever. During our session, I would talk to them first thing in our session. The first time. And sometimes I would even teach them new words in different languages. I wouldn't talk at them, but I would talk with them. And that created an impact on them that was like no other. These same rowdy kids that people talked about, they were the ones who were helping me set up. They were the ones who were helping me pack up. They were the ones who wanted to do anything that I asked for. They were like crazy competing to try to do something. What do you need? What do you want? Miss this, miss that. And this is the impact that we can have when we volunteer. Because when we volunteer, we don't just give up our time, we give up our talent, we give up our skills, we give up our heart, and we give up our soul. So during these sessions with these kids, we would have music, I would put them in groups, I would give them situations to act out and all of these things. And at the end of each session, I would give them an inspirational message. And I said, okay, high five 3 people and give them this message. And would you believe, every single class without fail, they would basically high five everyone in the class, not just 3 persons or 5 persons or 7 persons or whatever number I gave to them. But they were so enthusiastic about it. And what they probably did not realize in their young mind is that they were fostering a community of support, of encouragement, and of humanity, brotherhood, and this is where we can come alive when it comes to volunteerism. Volunteerism does not have to be grand gestures. It can be simple things that we do on a daily basis or a weekly or a monthly basis. It can be as simple as preparing sandwiches for your child's class for special occasions. It can be driving your neighbor to their doctor's appointment every 2 weeks. It can be mowing your neighbor's lawn because they work long hours. It's the everyday thing, those little things that you can do for the sake of humanity. These are the little things that instill hope in people, that let people see that humanity does exist. And when you talk about being versatile, let's talk about social media and how you can show up with your own values. Now, social media, there are about 62 or over 62% of the entire world population who is on social media. That's a lot of people, right? But you can show up in your own way and show your value. It's in what you post. It's in what you comment on. It's about what your actual comments do, right? These are the things that inadvertently show your value. If you are showing things that are all salacious or, hate speech or whatever the case is, you are showing your value. If you're showing up on social media and you're barely dressed, you're showing your value. If you show up, even showing yourself helping someone, you are showing your value. Now, there are a lot of social experiments that are on social media that may show someone feeding a homeless person or someone in need, giving them money, giving them food, whatever the case is. And people would say, well, why would you put that on camera? Why would you tell the world that you're helping this person or this family or this business? But isn't that what we need? Just a little bit of expression of what it is about. So, okay, maybe they shouldn't be on screen, maybe they should. But at the end of the day, when we volunteer, when we do something, it is for a greater good. And that's the bottom line. So when we talk about values and volunteerism, I would like to tell you that there's a simple message. My message is simple. It's the little things. It's just simply the little things that we do. Sure, we can do great projects, but it's not all of us who would do those great projects. But it is us doing the little things every single day. I go back to the words of Oprah Winfrey. When we give to others, we give to ourselves. And whatever we do, however we show up with our values, however we choose to volunteer, we are giving, but we are also receiving. We feel good when we volunteer. We feel good when we do good things. We feel good when we help someone with something. And we don't do it necessarily for the awards and the public recognition, but we do it because we want to contribute to something great. And that's what we do. But it is simple. We are always rewarded in one way or the other. We don't know how we will be, but we will be. So I encourage you every day, as much as you can, volunteer. It can be something simple or it can be something extravagant. But do it, you should. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Very, very interesting points out there that you've brought up. But before I share my thoughts, I'd like to know if anyone wants to add to it or has some questions. Please feel free to share. If there's anyone here who wants to share anything that has been ignited because of her talk. I loved the fact that you started off with Oprah, and we know she's a great orator is one thing, but she's got some very, very potent thoughts which come up, as pearls of wisdom, and they're great ways to think and actually employ. And I also completely gelled with what you said in terms of pretty much everything and making the fact that vulnerability, firstly, I think is a very normal aspect. People believe that it's always good to have a little facade about being strong. because the world perceives you in a different way when you are, supposedly strong. But hello, it's perfectly fine to be vulnerable. And I think acceptance to
Correct.
be vulnerable also is a big thing that we need to kind of focus on. And that's when I think you
Correct.
brought out the whole element of vulnerability there, which I think was beautiful. And
Thank
again,
you.
you came up with little things is all we need to do. We need to really make it as small as possible. And that's the starting point. And then you grow from there.
That's right.
And it kind of,
That's right.
can manifest itself into much larger objectives. And you can then build it from yourself to people around you, your family, communities, and so on and so forth. So at least be the first person to kind of, take that first step. I think it's extremely important to do that. Thank you for sharing what you did.
Absolutely.
I think it was
You're
brilliant.
welcome. Thank you.
And is there anyone else? I'm sorry, I just kind of interrupted. Is there someone who wants to, say something
I
to
agree.
what?
And I think Brene Brown talks about vulnerability, the best, because in most cultures, vulnerability is defined as in our heads, we define it as weakness. And really,
Yeah.
it does bring this strength when we are able to connect in an authentic way. Not, I heard a line from a movie, and it was about trauma, but like it was our trauma story and how we identify the I am of who we are with our trauma story. So that's not really what, vulnerability about. It's not just, laying out, all of our problems, but really that authentic connection, which leans into values. So thank you for that. That's a very important point.
You're welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, Milan, for bringing in that beautiful share one more time. And thank you so much. Nicole, it's been very nice listening to what you
Thank you.
said. And I'm sure we've all had some moments of reflection as we heard you talk.
Mhm.
And thank you for making it sound so simple, as you said. Just start
Yeah.
simple, start small. It's perfectly fine to just go ahead with that. And I think that's a good initiative, at least for the ones who are just on the fence, wondering how to do it. So thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that.
That's right.
And
You're welcome.
yeah, and
Thank you.
thank you so much. And